Hi everyone, Vegas from Critic here, Jeffrey K. Howard, here to review the epic motion picture historical drama Midway, starring, you ready for this? Just a sample of some of the stars. Patrick Wilson, Ed Skrein, Woody Harrelson, Dennis Quaid, Aaron Eckhart, Nick Jonas, Luke Evans, Mandy Moore, plus just some very talented Japanese Asian actors, I won't butcher their names, and directed by Roland Emmerich. I'm a huge World War II buff. I'm a huge history buff. And I remember seeing, the original Midway back in 1976 when Universal Studios was testing out Sensurround, where they had these giant speakers that would make the theater shake. I saw it at the Parkway Theater back in 1976, 10 years old. Also Tora, any of those kind of movies that were from the late 60s and the 70s that were all these biopics recreating all these famous battle scenes. And so now Roland Emmerich has created a $100 million epic about the Battle of Midway, which was the turning point for the Allies in the war in the Pacific. We were losing. I mean, the Japanese had all these carriers. They outmanned us, outgunned us, everything. And we had the Battle of the Coral Sea, and then we had the Battle of Midway, where it finally turned the ridiculous odds that the Allies, that the Americans, was able to sink a bunch of their their carriers, and turn the tide of the war. And not only that, a few months before this movie started filming, they found two of the Japanese carriers. They found where they sunk, the Akagi and I forget the other one. So anyway, we have this incredible recreation of the Battle of Midway. But here's what's really cool. All of these actors are portraying real-life soldiers and real-life pilots. So you have Dennis Quaid playing Admiral Halsey. You have Woody Harrelson playing Admiral Nimitz, the USS Nimitz, home of the Jolly Roger Squadron, my favorite F-14 Tomcats. You have Patrick Wilson playing an intelligence officer. You have all of these guys. Ed Skrein playing Dick Best, who was, and all these guys went on to write books about the Battle of Midway. All these guys went on to do all these things. So all the actors had such historical reference to draw upon to play upon these characters. Now there's been criticism. Of course, this is historical recreation, historical fact with these battles, but it's also got some cinematic flair to it. So when you're watching these dogfights, when you're watching all of these incredible battles, yes, they're over the top. Yes, they're Hollywood, but you know what? You have to get people excited about history or they become bored. Just look back at Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, which was a giant love story like Titanic that was surrounded by a tragedy, the Battle of Pearl Harbor. And Roland Emmerich said it was very important. You can't understand the Battle of Midway or the Battle of the Pacific without starting with Pearl Harbor. So we do start with that, but we don't spend a lot of time on it. But we understand the Japanese mindset and also where all of their, where everything was coming from that leads those events forward. Great thing about Roland Emmerich is he treats the Japanese with humanity. He doesn't demonize them, because we see in the film that they had, it's kind of corny saying this, they had hopes and dreams, they had feelings, they had their version of the war, which they wanted, they had commanders that they followed, there was loyalty, there was humanity there, it really was. Even though propaganda demonizes Japanese because they were the enemy and they did the secret attack on Pearl Harbor, but it also shows the other side that they were soldiers, sailors, and they had also to accomplish their goals too. Now this movie's spectacular in terms of being an independent film. Roland Emmerich shopped this to all the studios. None of them wanted it. $100 million plus price tag. He went out and financed this himself. This is the biggest budget independent film ever made. And he recreated some of the planes and the boats. I think there was like 80% scale or something like that. He went out. You can tell what's green screen and what's not. And talk about a who's who in casting. Dennis Quaid, Aaron Eckhart, Luke Evans. I mean, everyone he cast in this movie looks just like their characters, like those soldiers. I mean, they have those American rugged looking faces. They deliver amazing performances. I love Midway. I love this film. I love the recreation with it. I thought he did a fantastic job. There's even a submarine sequence in it because I'm a big submarine fan, a submariner, anything to do with submarines. And so there's a great sub sequence in this where they're sinking some carriers. So and then if anything you see this movie, especially the younger generation, is like 9/11. We need to remember our history. We need to remember that we might be speaking German and Japanese right now if it wasn't for the Battle of Midway, if it wasn't for the greatest generation. So if anything, don't dismiss this movie as something, just like Hollywood folly. It's got a message behind it, okay? It's something, especially on the weekend here at Veterans Day, because I'm a big supporter of our troops and Veterans Day, that younger kids, millennials down, need to watch this movie to understand our history. It's very, very important. Yes, you got to make it entertaining, and Roland Emmerich has done that. Great job. Also, check out my YouTube page. I have interviews with Roland Emmerich, Ed Skrein, and Luke Kleintank about the making of this film. So it was one of my favorite ones. Also, Patrick Wilson, he's on there too. So I'm all behind Midway. It's a lot of fun. It really is. All right, for more reviews and interviews, just surf on over to my website at vegasfilmcritic.com. Also, check me out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube. Check out my interviews with the cast of Midway. What did you think of Midway? Did you find it entertaining, educational, and exciting? I sure did. I'm Jeffrey K. Howard in Las Vegas. Thank you for joining me. Happy Veterans Day. Make sure you support your local vets and you support your local Veterans Day parade this holiday weekend. I'm Jeffrey K. Howard. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.